The first mistake. High above Earth, in the sterile command deck of a Zalith Dominion cruiser Vor's Light, Subcommander Trevik observed the blue and green sphere with detached disdain. Primitive. No unified defense. High internal conflict. Minimal planetary shielding, the analyst drone chirped. Trevik sneered. We won't need more than a pacification squad. Drop the suppressors, disable their military nodes, and let the governors handle the transition. He had crushed 6 planets in the last cycle, all with more advanced defenses than this mudball. Earth's brief energy spikes, nuclear perhaps, were old tech. The humans didn't even have functioning orbital platforms. What threat could they pose? Within hours, Dominion ships unleashed precision strikes, vaporizing satellite networks, disrupting major cities, and deploying psychic suppressors designed to cow populations into compliance. Then the drop pods followed, sleek obsidian darts that stabbed into Earth's crust, releasing squads of armored troopers across key zones. Trevik expected surrender. Instead, he received chaos. In the ruins of what was once Chicago, a unit of Zalith troopers moved cautiously between collapsed skyscrapers. Visibility was poor, smoke, dust, and haze clung to the streets like a second skin. Their psionic suppression fields flickered. Earth's atmosphere was reacting unpredictably. Movement, 12 o'clock, barked one trooper. Too late. A Molotov ignited against their lead shield. Then the humans emerged from the fog, masks on, rifles raised, silent as ghosts. Homemade explosives, hunting rifles, and even blades found weak points in alien armor. The Zaleth fired back, but the humans were already gone, darting through the debris like phantoms. The ambush lasted only 90 seconds. Of the 12 Dominion troopers, only 3 limped away, 2 wounded, 1 in shock. A drone recovered footage from a helmet cam. A human, face obscured, driving a knife into a Zaleth neck seam and whispering, "This is our planet." Trevik watched the footage in silence. Around him, the command deck buzzed with growing unease. "This is isolated," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. It wasn't. Reports flooded in. Sabotage in Rio, sniper kills in Nairobi, traps in the forests of Vietnam, EMP attacks in Siberia. The humans weren't coordinated, but they didn't need to be. They were relentless, adaptable, furious. Trevik frowned. How are they organizing with no comms? A junior officer hesitated. They're using paper, messengers, light signals. It's decentralized. They fight like packs. No central command, just instinct. Trevik stayed at Earth's surface, now boiling with heat signatures and sporadic explosions. This wasn't a pacification. This was war. "They're not like the others," he muttered. "No, sir," the officer replied quietly. "They are Weiss." From a satellite feed, a wide-angle shot showed hundreds of humans in the rubble of a city, raising a banner painted by hand. "We are still here." The fire spreads. In the mountains of eastern Turkey, an alien transport skidded into the valley, its hull smoking from a direct missile hit. Inside, Zaleth Enforcer Jack dragged his wounded pilot out just as a second explosion shook the trees. "They tracked us," the pilot hissed in panic. "How could they track us? We masked our signature." Jack didn't answer. He was already scanning the ridgelines, weapon drawn. Trees stood still, but the silence was deceptive. A split second later, gunfire erupted from above. Bullets pinged off his armor. Primitive metal projectiles, and yet deadly precise. He returned fire with a plasma burst, but the attackers had already vanished. Human tactics were maddening. There were no front lines, no honor in battle, just ghosts in the woods, striking fast and vanishing faster. All over Earth, the story was the same. In South America, Dominion outposts were being destroyed by coordinated raids led by former special forces. In the Philippines, local militias had captured a psionic disruptor and turned it against its creators. And in northern Canada, an entire Zalith landing zone had been swallowed by homemade landmines buried in frozen tundra. From their forward base in orbit, the Dominion War Council tried to analyze the madness. What they saw terrified them more than the destruction. Humans were learning. In weeks, They had reverse-engineered alien rifles into rugged hybrids compatible with their own ammunition. In days, they'd started jamming psionic frequencies using modified ham radios. In hours, human hackers and bunkers had begun cracking open Dominion comms to eavesdrop, confuse, and taunt. One such message was broadcast across multiple Zalith frequencies simultaneously. "This is Earth Resistance. We see your ships. We hear your screams. You thought we were prey, but we're hunters, and we are coming." Trevok watched the transmission in silence from Ivor's light. The human face on the screen, scarred, eyes like fire, seemed to burn through the hologram. "Do we know this one?" he asked coldly. "No identification. Appears to be a civilian leader," replied a tech. "But their resistance is decentralized. No clear chain of command." Trevok turned to his officers. "Then burn them all. Flatten every stronghold. Send fear into their bones." But fear no longer worked. That was the second thing they had underestimated. In the streets of bombed-out Paris, children painted over Dominion warnings with graffiti. In Cairo, wounded fighters stitched their comrades back together with fishing line and grit. In rural Montana, an old veteran taught teenagers how to shoot, trap, and move like shadows. Earth was not merely resisting. It was awakening, and the Dominion, for all its might, was starting to bleed. The retaliation. Aboard the human-built Archangel, a sleek vessel forged from scavenged Dominion alloys and Oathborn ingenuity, Captain Amani Reyes studied the jump coordinates one last time. "Target, Outpost Kirex 7, she said. "Dominion refueling station, low defenses. We strike, we vanish. No survivors." Her voice was steady, but every crew member knew what this meant. Humanity wasn't just defending anymore. They were bringing the war back. The Archangel blinked out of soul space in a flash of blue light. Humanity's first faster-than-light jump. The ship shuddered as it exited into orbit over Kirex 7, a moon circling a pale red gas giant. Dominion structures dotted the surface, tall, spire-like towers pulsing with power. "Stealth holding. They don't know we're here," said Ensign Park, eyes glued to the sensor board. Reyes nodded. "Launch teams. Get it done." Drop pods descended like comets. On the surface, Zalith overseers barely had time to raise alarms before the first wave hit. Human commandos, hardened by Earth's chaos, moved like phantoms through the alien outpost. Explosives were placed on power cores. Guard patrols were silently neutralized. Even Dominion drones faltered, confused by jamming pulses that mimicked their own control signals. Inside the slave barracks, Reyes herself cut through reinforced doors with a salvage plasma torch. Inside, dozens of alien species huddled in fear, worn thin by years of labor. A four-eyed creature with a scarred face stepped forward. "What are you?" Reyes lowered her weapon. "We're from Earth. We're here to burn this place to the ground." The alien blinked, then smiled. By the time Dominion reinforcements arrived, Kirex 7 was burning. The Archangel vanished into the void again, carrying hundreds of liberated prisoners, and a message that would spread like wildfire. Across the stars, enslaved worlds began to stir. In the colonies of the Jarellan Belt, riots turned into revolts. On the mining planet Tikar, overseers were executed by their former workers. And on Dominion core worlds, cracks appeared in the seemingly unbreakable rule of the Zalith. In his throne chamber aboard the Dominion capital ship Orikvan, Emperor Threxus demanded answers. How did these humans reach beyond their world? They were primitive. Trevok, hollow-eyed and shaken, bowed low. They learned too fast, and their rage burns hotter than our science. Worse still, Dominion commanders began to defect. Entire fleets vanished, joining rebel coalitions led by Earth's emissaries. A new flag was rising in space, a black banner with a blood-red planet, circled by stars. Earth wasn't just resisting. It was uniting the broken. On board the Archangel, Reyes stood with her new allies, former enemies, now brothers in arms. "This is just the beginning," she said, voice low. "For every city they bombed, we'll take a system. For every life they crushed, we'll build a future. One they can't control. Collapse of the mighty." The Dominion capital burned. Above the skyline of Vanus Prime, 1,000 fires cast their glow into space, visible even from orbit. The alien empire that had stood unchallenged for millennia now cracked under the weight of its arrogance and the fury of Earth. In the War Council chambers, Emperor Threxus stood surrounded by flickering screens. Every feed showed failure, rebellions on slave worlds, Dominion cruisers commandeered by mutineers, and worst of all, human vessels entering orbit. They were insects, he hissed. How did this happen? Trevik, gaunt and scarred, didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. The humans had not only survived, they had infected the Dominion with something far more dangerous than resistance. Hope. On the surface, Captain Reyes led the final assault. The coalition had grown, humans and aliens, side by side. Jarellan snipers cleared towers. Tikari berserkers stormed gates. And in the vanguard marched humanity, scarred, brutal, unstoppable. Reyes moved through the palace ruins with grim determination. The architecture was alien, golden spirals, humming stone, but she ignored the grandeur. Ahead, the throne room. Explosives opened the doors. Inside, Emperor Threxus stood alone, clutching a control sphere. You think this is over? He snarled. I can unleash a Nova Cascade. Destroy this entire system. Take you with me. Reyes raised her rifle. Do it. Burn with your pride. Or surrender, and live to see what freedom looks like. The Emperor hesitated, and that was enough. From the shadows, a wounded soldier lunged forward. Private Dalton, barely 19, carrying a Dominion disruptor. He crashed into Threxus, seizing the sphere, slamming it against the wall. Sparks erupted. The device hissed, short-circuited, and died. Dalton slumped beside it, blood soaking his chest. Reyes knelt by him. He smiled. Told you, they'd regret coming here. Then he was gone. Hours later, Dominion control officially ended. Across the galaxy, systems declared independence. Slave pens were emptied. Warships painted over their colors. The black and red flag of Earth's coalition flew not as a conqueror's banner, but as a warning. Never mistake a death-world silence for submission. In a recorded address broadcast to every liberated world, Captain Reyes stood before the smoldering remains of the throne. My name is Amani Reyes, child of Earth. You came to our world expecting surrender. You found survivors, fighters, builders, killers, yes, but also dreamers. You underestimated us. She paused. And now your empire lies in ashes. This is what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. In the years that followed, humanity became legend. Stories of Earth spread far and wide, of how a scattered species defied an empire, how their rage forged unity, and how their determination lit a fire that consumed tyranny. They called Earth a death world. They were right. But it wasn't the planet that killed the empire. It was the people.